Have you ever wondered how many extraordinary places remain invisible simply because the world has never taken the time to truly see them? Some destinations become famous because they are constantly photographed. Others earn international recognition because millions of travelers visit them every year. But there are places whose stories are far greater than their popularity. Places that quietly preserve centuries of history, culture, and natural wealth, while the rest of the world looks somewhere else. Today, I want to take you to one of those places. Hidden in the eastern part of central Java, Indonesia, lies a regency that many people have heard of, but very few truly understand. It is not covered in towering skyscrapers. It is not overflowing with luxury resorts. It does not rely on flashy attractions to impress visitors. Instead, it offers something much more valuable. It offers authenticity. This is Blora, a land where ancient forests breathe life into generations of people, a place where rivers witness the journey of prehistoric humans hundreds of thousands of years ago, a region where traditions continue to thrive, not because they were preserved for tourists, but because they remain part of everyday life. Every road, every village, every towering teak tree carries a story. Every celebration echoes the voices of ancestors who refuse to let their identity disappear with time. If you believe extraordinary destinations are only found in famous cities, prepare to change your perspective forever, because Blora is about to prove that greatness does not always demand attention. Sometimes greatness simply waits for someone willing to listen. Long before modern Indonesia existed, before highways connected provinces, before maps accurately outlined every corner of Java, this land had already begun writing its own remarkable history. The story of Blora begins not with kingdoms or governments, but with nature itself. The very name Blora reflects the landscape that shaped the lives of its earliest inhabitants. According to local folklore and historical interpretation, the name originates from two ancient words. The first is Y, meaning water. The second is Lora, meaning valley, ravine, or lowland. As language naturally evolved through generations, the pronunciation gradually transformed. The letter W often shifted into B in Javanese pronunciation without changing the original meaning. Over centuries, Y-Lora became By-Lora. Eventually, it evolved into the single word people know today, Blora. Its meaning remained beautifully consistent: a watery lowland, a fertile landscape rich with rivers, wetlands, and life. The name is not merely a label, it is a description of geography. It tells the story of how water shaped the identity of an entire region. For centuries, rivers flowing through Blora nourished forests, supported agriculture, and connected communities. Water determined where villages would grow. It influenced trade routes. It sustained wildlife. Even today, the relationship between Blora and its rivers continues to define the region's character. When people hear the word history, they often imagine grand palaces or famous battles. But history begins much earlier than that. History begins with landscapes capable of sustaining life. Blora was one of those landscapes. Its fertile valleys and abundant water created an environment where humans could survive, adapt, and flourish. That relationship between people and nature continues to define Blora even in the 21st century. As civilizations expanded across Java, forests became one of Blora's greatest treasures. While many regions gradually replaced their woodlands with cities and farmland, Blora retained something increasingly rare: vast stretches of magnificent teak forests. These forests are not ordinary woodlands. They are among the largest and most significant teak-producing areas on the island of Java. For generations, teak has been regarded as one of the world's finest hardwoods. Its durability is legendary. Its resistance to insects makes it exceptionally valuable. Its beautiful grain has been admired by craftsmen for centuries. Ships, traditional houses, temples, furniture, bridges, and works of art have all benefited from the remarkable qualities of teak. Blora became one of Indonesia's most important sources of this extraordinary resource. In fact, nearly half of the regency consists of forested areas, with teak dominating much of the landscape. These forests support not only the economy, but also an entire ecosystem. Countless plant species thrive beneath the forest canopy. Birds fill the morning air with songs. Wildlife quietly inhabits spaces that have remained relatively undisturbed for generations. For local communities, the forest represents far more than timber. It represents heritage. It represents responsibility. Many families have lived alongside these forests for generations. They understand that protecting the forest means protecting their future. Harvesting valuable teak requires patience, unlike almost any other industry. A teak tree cannot simply be planted one year and harvested the next. Many require decades before reaching full maturity. Some continue growing for more than half a century. That means every decision made today affects future generations. It is an investment measured not in months, but in lifetimes. Imagine planting a tree knowing your grandchildren may be the ones who witness its harvest. That remarkable perspective teaches patience, responsibility, and respect for nature. Few places remind us so clearly that true wealth cannot always be rushed. As sunlight filters through towering teak trees, it creates a peaceful atmosphere unlike anywhere else. The air becomes cooler. The sounds of modern life begin to fade. Leaves gently sway overhead, while rays of golden sunlight illuminate the forest floor. Walking through Blora's teak forests is not simply a recreational activity. It feels like stepping into one of Indonesia's oldest living cathedrals. Every towering trunk tells a story measured not in years, but in decades. Some have silently witnessed political change, technological revolutions, and generations of human history. They stood quietly while the world transformed around them. The forests have also shaped local culture in profound ways. Traditional architecture frequently incorporates teak wood because of its remarkable strength and longevity. Skilled artisans transform raw timber into intricate carvings, elegant furniture, and durable homes capable of lasting for generations. The reputation of Blora's teak extends far beyond Indonesia. Its timber has long been valued in international markets for exceptional quality. That reputation did not appear overnight. It was built through decades of careful forest management, craftsmanship, and respect for one of nature's greatest gifts. Perhaps this is why Blora is proudly known as the City of Teak. It is a title earned through history rather than marketing, a title rooted in the land itself. Yet forests are only one chapter of Blora's remarkable identity. Another chapter begins not among towering trees, but around glowing charcoal, fragrant smoke, and one of Indonesia's most beloved culinary traditions. Across Indonesia, satay is celebrated as one of the nation's iconic dishes. But in Blora, satay becomes something entirely unique. At first glance, it may look familiar. Tender pieces of meat grilled carefully over hot charcoal. Rich aromas filling the evening air. The irresistible sound of sizzling skewers. But what truly distinguishes Blora's satay is not only its flavour, it is the way it is served. Instead of ordinary ceramic plates, traditional Blora satay is often presented on a pinchuk, a simple serving tray carefully crafted from fresh teak leaves. The leaves release a subtle, natural aroma when touched by warm food. That fragrance gently enhances the dining experience. It connects every meal back to the forests that have defined Blora for centuries. This simple tradition beautifully reflects local wisdom. Nature provides not only ingredients, but also the vessel for sharing them. Long before disposable packaging became common, communities had already discovered sustainable ways to enjoy food using materials provided by their environment. The experience becomes more than eating. It becomes a celebration of harmony between humans and nature. The uniqueness of Blora Satay eventually attracted national attention. Thousands gathered for an extraordinary culinary celebration where approximately 7,000 people enjoyed satay simultaneously using traditional teak leaf pinchuk. The event earned recognition from the Indonesian World Records Museum, better known as MURI. It was not merely an attempt to break a record, it was a statement of cultural pride, a reminder that traditions remain meaningful when communities choose to preserve them together. For visitors, tasting Blora's satay is not simply about satisfying hunger. It is about participating in a story passed down through generations. Every bite reflects local identity. Every aroma carries memories of forests, families, and traditions that continue to thrive. And as delicious as this culinary heritage may be, the ground beneath Blora holds secrets far older than any recipe ever created. Secrets that would one day astonish archaeologists from across Indonesia and around the world. Long before written history, before kingdoms rose across Java, before temples reached toward the sky, before humanity even understood the concept of civilization, the land we now call Blora was already witnessing one of the greatest stories ever told. This story was not written with ink, it was written in stone. It was preserved in ancient riverbanks. It was buried beneath layers of earth for hundreds of thousands of years, waiting patiently for the modern world to uncover its secrets. The Bengawan Solo River is often celebrated as the longest river on the island of Java. For centuries, it has served as a source of water, transportation, agriculture, and life for countless communities. Yet beneath its calm surface lies an even more astonishing legacy. For archaeologists and paleoanthropologists, Bengawan Solo is far more than a river. It is one of Southeast Asia's greatest prehistoric archives. Its ancient terraces have preserved evidence of creatures that lived long before recorded history began. And among the most remarkable locations along this legendary river is Blora. Specifically, the area of Nigandong in Kradenan district has become internationally recognized for discoveries that reshaped humanity's understanding of prehistoric life in Asia. Imagine standing on the banks of the river today. The water flows quietly, birds glide overhead, farmers continue tending their fields just as generations before them once did. Nothing immediately suggests that beneath your feet lies evidence of a world hundreds of thousands of years old. Yet this peaceful landscape has yielded some of the most extraordinary fossil discoveries ever made in Indonesia. Among the most famous discoveries are the fossilized remains of Homo soloensis. These ancient humans lived during the late Pleistocene period, with fossils generally estimated to be around 200,000 to 300,000 years old, according to scientific studies. The discovery attracted researchers from across the globe because Homo soloensis represents one of the final known populations of archaic humans in Southeast Asia. Every fossil became another piece of an enormous puzzle. Each fragment helps scientists better understand how early humans adapted, survived, and evolved in changing environments. But the discoveries did not stop there. The same region also revealed fossils of prehistoric buffalo, ancient elephants, massive turtles, and numerous other extinct animals that once roamed landscapes dramatically different from the ones we know today. These discoveries transformed Blora into one of Indonesia's most important windows into prehistoric life. For scientists, every excavation required incredible patience. A single fossil might remain hidden beneath layers of sediment for hundreds of thousands of years before finally seeing daylight once again. Each brushstroke used during excavation demanded extraordinary precision. One careless movement could damage evidence that had survived since long before modern humans existed. Think about that for a moment. Human civilizations have existed for only a tiny fraction of Earth's history. Empires have risen and disappeared. Languages have evolved. Technologies have transformed our lives. Yet these fossils silently endured through all of it. They survived earthquakes, floods, volcanic eruptions, climate change, the passage of unimaginable time itself. Their survival reminds us how brief our own lives truly are. It also reminds us that every generation inherits a responsibility to protect the knowledge left behind by those who came before us. Many of the remarkable discoveries from Nigandong are now preserved at Museum Mahameru, where visitors can observe fossils that connect modern humanity with one of its oldest chapters. Standing before these ancient remains creates a feeling difficult to describe. You are no longer looking at ordinary stones. You are looking into deep time. You are looking at evidence that humans once walked this very land hundreds of thousands of years before anyone could imagine cities, nations, or even agriculture. Few travel experiences offer such profound perspective. Blora teaches us that history is not always found in royal palaces. Sometimes history sleeps quietly beneath the soil. Sometimes the greatest museums begin as simple riverbanks. As remarkable as Blora's prehistoric heritage may be, its identity is equally shaped by living traditions that continue to inspire communities today. One of the most powerful examples is an art form that combines music, dance, theatre, mythology, and collective spirit into an unforgettable performance. This is Barongan. Across central Java, various regions preserve their own versions of Barongan, but nowhere does this cultural tradition flourish quite like it does in Blora. The Regency is widely recognised as having one of the largest numbers of active Barongan groups in the province. Because of this remarkable cultural vitality, Blora has proudly earned another nickname, the City of Barongan. To an outsider, a Barongan performance may initially appear to be colourful entertainment. The costumes are striking, the music is energetic, the movements are bold and dramatic. But beneath every performance lies generations of cultural meaning. At the heart of Barongan stands a magnificent mythical creature. Its appearance is fierce, its eyes are wide with intensity, its movements are powerful and unpredictable. As traditional musicians play rhythmic patterns using gamelan instruments, drums and gongs, the creature comes alive through the skill of dedicated performers. The audience quickly becomes immersed in a world where myth and reality blend together. Children watch with excitement, parents smile with pride, elders recognize familiar stories passed down through generations. Every performance strengthens the invisible thread connecting past and present. Unlike traditions preserved only inside museums, Barongan continues living within the community itself. Young performers eagerly learn from experienced artists. Costumes are carefully maintained. Musical techniques continue to evolve while respecting tradition. Festivals bring villagers together in celebrations filled with laughter, music, and shared identity. This continuity is perhaps Barongan's greatest achievement. Culture survives not because it remains unchanged. Culture survives because each generation chooses to carry it forward. That choice requires commitment. It requires love. It requires people who believe their heritage deserves a future. Blora demonstrates exactly what that commitment looks like. In many parts of the world, modernization has unintentionally weakened traditional arts. Global entertainment often replaces local performance. Ancient customs slowly disappear as younger generations pursue new lifestyles. Yet Blora offers a different story. Here, tradition and progress stand side by side. Schools encourage cultural education. Communities organize performances. Artists dedicate countless hours to perfecting their craft. Families proudly introduce children to traditions that have shaped local identity for centuries. This living heritage gives Blora something incredibly rare. It possesses not only history, but continuity. The past is not forgotten. It is performed. It is celebrated. It is lived. Every Barongan performance reminds audiences that identity is not inherited automatically. It must be protected. It must be practiced. It must be shared. Perhaps that is why visitors often leave Blora with memories that extend far beyond beautiful scenery. They remember the people, the warmth of local communities, the pride visible in every cultural celebration, the genuine hospitality that transforms strangers into welcomed guests. Because ultimately, a destination is never defined only by its landscapes. It is defined by the hearts of the people who call it home. And in Blora, those hearts continue beating with remarkable strength, preserving stories that deserve to be heard not only across Indonesia, but throughout the entire world. When people think about unforgettable destinations, they often imagine places filled with towering monuments, luxurious resorts, or famous landmarks that dominate postcards and travel magazines. But the places that stay with us the longest are rarely the loudest. They are the places that make us feel something. Places where every conversation reveals another layer of history. Places where every meal carries generations of tradition. Places where nature still sets the rhythm of daily life. Blora is one of those places. It does not compete for attention. It earns admiration through authenticity. As you travel through its towns and villages, you begin to notice something remarkable. Life moves with purpose rather than urgency. Farmers greet the sunrise as they have for generations. The scent of freshly cut grass mixes with the earthy fragrance of fertile soil after the rain. Motorcycles share quiet roads with bicycles, while children laugh as they walk home from school beneath rows of towering trees. The landscape feels grounded. Nothing appears artificial. Everything seems connected. Here, forests support livelihoods. Rivers nourish fields. Traditional markets continue serving as the heartbeat of local communities. Unlike modern shopping centres where transactions are often rushed and impersonal, Blora's traditional markets remain places where relationships matter. Vendors know their customers by name. Neighbours exchange stories while selecting fresh vegetables. Local farmers proudly display harvests that represent months of dedication and hard work. Every purchase strengthens the local economy while preserving customs that have survived for generations. Walking through these markets is like reading a living history book. You hear the local dialect blending naturally with Indonesian. You discover recipes passed down through families for decades. You witness traditions that continue not because they are required, but because they remain meaningful. This sense of continuity extends far beyond commerce. It shapes family life. It shapes community celebrations. It shapes the values that define Blora itself. Respect for elders remains deeply rooted. Neighbours continue helping one another during weddings, harvests, and community events. Mutual cooperation, known throughout Indonesia as gotong royong, is not simply an ideal, it is part of everyday reality. When someone builds a house, neighbours often volunteer their time. When celebrations take place, entire communities contribute food, music and labour. When challenges arise, people stand together rather than apart. These traditions remind us that progress does not require abandoning the values that built strong communities in the first place. In many parts of the modern world, people are becoming increasingly connected through technology while feeling increasingly disconnected from one another. Blora quietly offers another way. Here, connection still begins face to face. It begins with conversation. It begins with shared meals. It begins with the understanding that communities become stronger when people genuinely care for one another. Perhaps this explains why visitors frequently describe Blora not simply as beautiful, but as welcoming. Hospitality here is not a performance designed for tourists. It reflects genuine character. Guests are often treated like family. Smiles are offered freely. Stories are shared generously. Time seems less hurried. Conversations become longer. Memories become richer. The beauty of Blora also changes with the seasons. During the rainy months, forests become greener than ever. Rice fields shimmer beneath layers of fresh water, reflecting the changing skies above. Morning mist drifts gently across valleys, creating scenes that appear almost dreamlike. As sunlight gradually breaks through the clouds, entire landscapes glow with vibrant shades of emerald and gold. During the dry season, another kind of beauty emerges. Golden grasslands contrast against the deep green of mature teak forests. Clear blue skies stretch endlessly across the horizon. Sunsets paint the landscape with brilliant shades of orange, crimson, and purple. Each season reveals another personality of the region. Nature never repeats itself. Every visit becomes slightly different from the last. This dynamic relationship between people and the environment has shaped Blora's resilience throughout history. Communities learn to adapt to changing weather. Farmers develop knowledge passed carefully from one generation to the next. Understanding the land became essential not only for survival but also for prosperity. That wisdom remains visible today. It reminds us that sustainability is not merely a modern concept. For many traditional communities, sustainable living has always been a practical necessity. Protect the forest today, harvest responsibly tomorrow. Preserve clean water, respect fertile soil. Think not only about yourself, but about those who will inherit the land after you. These principles have guided countless generations in Blora, long before environmental conservation became a global conversation. Perhaps that is one of the region's greatest lessons. Real progress is measured not only by what we build, it is also measured by what we choose to protect. As travellers, we often chase destinations that promise excitement. We seek dramatic landscapes, famous attractions, bucket list experiences. There is nothing wrong with that. But occasionally, the greatest journeys are those that quietly change the way we see the world. Blora invites exactly that kind of journey. It encourages us to slow down, to observe more carefully, to appreciate details that are easily overlooked. The sound of wind moving through ancient teak leaves, the aroma of satay served on fresh teak leaf pinchuk, the rhythm of Barongan performances echoing through village squares, the silent testimony of prehistoric fossils resting inside museum galleries, the laughter of children carrying traditions into the future. These moments may appear ordinary at first, yet together they create something extraordinary. They create identity. Identity cannot be manufactured overnight. It cannot be copied. It cannot be purchased. It is shaped through centuries of shared experiences, challenges, victories, and cultural memory. Blora possesses that identity in abundance. It has survived changing governments, economic transformations, technological revolutions, and the rapid pace of globalization. Through every era, it has remained unmistakably itself. That quiet confidence is perhaps its greatest strength. Blora does not need to imitate anyone else. Its forests are real, its history is real, its traditions are real, its people are real. In a world increasingly filled with artificial experiences, authenticity has become one of the rarest treasures of all. And Blora offers it generously to anyone willing to look beyond the obvious. The question is no longer whether Blora deserves recognition. The evidence has been there all along. The real question is why so few people have discovered its story. Perhaps that is beginning to change, because every remarkable place eventually finds its moment. Every hidden treasure is eventually uncovered. Every forgotten story eventually finds someone willing to tell it. Today, that story has reached you, and once you truly understand Blora, it becomes impossible to see it as just another regency on the map of Indonesia. You begin to see something much greater, a land where prehistoric humanity left its footprints, a kingdom of magnificent teak forests that have supplied the world with one of its finest hardwoods, a community whose traditions continue to thrive through music, dance, craftsmanship, and extraordinary cultural pride, a destination where every meal tells a story, every forest whispers history, every river remembers the distant past. Every generation carries the responsibility of protecting an irreplaceable legacy. That is the true spirit of Blora. Not simply a destination, not simply a name, but a living reminder that some of the world's greatest treasures are still waiting beyond the places everyone already knows. And perhaps the next unforgettable journey of your life does not begin in the world's most famous city. Perhaps it begins beneath the towering teak trees, beside the timeless waters of the Bengawan Solo, where the remarkable story of Blora continues to unfold, one generation after another, inviting the world to finally discover the extraordinary heart that has always been there. But there is one final truth about Blora that cannot be measured by statistics, historical records, or archaeological discoveries. It is something you can only understand after spending time here. It is the feeling. Every truly unforgettable place leaves behind an emotion. Paris leaves romance, Kyoto leaves serenity, the Serengeti leaves awe, Blora leaves perspective. It reminds us that significance is not determined by popularity. A place does not need millions of visitors to be extraordinary. It does not need towering skylines to inspire admiration. It does not need luxury hotels to leave a lasting impression. Its greatest strength lies in something much deeper, its ability to remain true to itself. As the modern world becomes increasingly interconnected, many regions struggle to preserve their identities. Traditional architecture gives way to uniform buildings. Ancient customs slowly disappear beneath the influence of global trends. Local languages become quieter with each passing generation. Communities sometimes forget the stories that once defined them. Blora offers hope that another future is possible, a future where progress and preservation walk together, where education strengthens cultural pride rather than replacing it, where young people inherit not only technology but also wisdom, where development does not erase memory, instead it protects it. This balance is never easy. It requires commitment from governments, educators, artists, historians, environmentalists, and ordinary citizens. Every generation must decide whether it will simply consume the legacy left behind by its ancestors or become responsible caretakers for those who will come after. Blora continues choosing the second path. Its forests continue standing because people understand their value. Its traditional arts continue flourishing because communities continue performing them. Its archaeological heritage continues educating future generations because scientists, museums, and local residents recognize its importance. Its culinary traditions continue delighting visitors because families continue preparing recipes with pride and patience. This is what sustainable culture truly looks like. Not something frozen in time, something alive, something evolving while remaining faithful to its roots. There is also an important lesson hidden within Blora's story. The greatest wealth of a nation is rarely found only beneath the ground. Natural resources may create prosperity, but culture creates identity. History creates wisdom. Knowledge creates resilience. Communities create belonging. Without these foundations, economic success alone cannot define greatness. Blora demonstrates that true prosperity comes from respecting both people and place. Imagine bringing a child to Blora for the first time. They walk beneath towering teak trees that have been growing longer than anyone in their family has been alive. They stand before fossils that existed hundreds of thousands of years before the first cities were ever built. They watch Barongan performers move with incredible energy while traditional music fills the air. They taste satay served upon fragrant teak leaves instead of disposable packaging. Without realizing it, that child learns something profoundly important. History is real. Nature matters. Culture deserves respect. Identity is worth protecting. Those lessons may remain with them for the rest of their lives. That is the quiet power of places like Blora. They educate without classrooms. They inspire without speeches. They transform perspectives without demanding attention. Perhaps this is why travel remains one of humanity's greatest teachers. Maps show us where places are. Journeys teach us why they matter. And Blora matters. It matters because every forest preserved today becomes cleaner air tomorrow. It matters because every cultural performance keeps centuries of wisdom alive. It matters because every archaeological discovery helps humanity better understand its shared origins. It matters because every local tradition reminds us that diversity is not something to fear, it is something to celebrate. Indonesia is often described as one of the most culturally diverse nations on Earth. Stretching across thousands of islands, it contains hundreds of ethnic groups, languages, artistic traditions, and unique local identities. Blora represents one beautiful thread within that extraordinary tapestry. Remove a single thread and the tapestry becomes weaker. Protect every thread and the entire masterpiece becomes stronger. That is why preserving places like Blora is not only important for Indonesia, it is important for the world, because humanity's greatest heritage belongs to all humanity. Every ancient fossil, every traditional dance, every local language, every handcrafted work of art, every protected forest. Each one contributes another chapter to the remarkable story of our species. Sometimes people ask what makes a destination unforgettable. Is it breathtaking scenery, historic monuments, delicious food, friendly people? The answer is yes, but only when all those elements come together to create something meaningful. Blora accomplishes exactly that. It offers landscapes shaped by nature over countless generations. It preserves evidence of prehistoric humanity that stretches back hundreds of thousands of years. It celebrates traditions that continue bringing communities together. It welcomes visitors with genuine warmth. And perhaps most importantly, it reminds every traveller that wonder still exists beyond the destinations everyone already knows. There are still stories waiting to be discovered. There are still communities preserving remarkable traditions. There are still forests standing tall against the passage of time. There are still rivers quietly carrying memories older than civilization itself. Blora is one of those places. So the next time someone asks you about Indonesia, do not speak only about the destinations the entire world already recognizes. Tell them about the regency where magnificent teak forests stretch across the landscape like a green ocean. Tell them about the banks of the Bengawan Solo, where ancient human ancestors once walked. Tell them about the unforgettable aroma of satay served upon fresh teak leaves. Tell them about the thunderous rhythm of Barongan performances that continue captivating audiences generation after generation. Tell them about a place where history is not confined to books. It grows in forests, it echoes through music, it lives within communities, it flows with the river. Because once the world finally discovers Blora, people may realize that one of Indonesia's greatest hidden treasures was never truly hidden at all. It was simply waiting for someone to pause, to look beyond the familiar, and to recognize the extraordinary beauty that had quietly existed there all along. And perhaps that is the greatest lesson Blora leaves behind. The most remarkable places are not always the ones that shout the loudest. They are the ones whose stories continue echoing in your heart long after you have gone home, long after the journey ends, long after the photographs have been taken, long after the roads disappear behind the horizon. Because some destinations are visited, others become part of you. Blora is one of those rare places, and once you truly know its story, you will never look at the map of Indonesia in quite the same way again. Close your eyes for just a moment and imagine arriving in Blora before sunrise. The sky is still wrapped in shades of deep blue. A cool morning breeze drifts gently through the towering teak trees. Somewhere in the distance, a rooster announces the beginning of a new day, while the first rays of sunlight slowly begin to paint the horizon with warm shades of gold and orange. The world awakens gradually. Nothing feels rushed. Nothing feels forced. The forest breathes. The villages come alive. The land begins another day exactly as it has for countless generations. This quiet beginning reveals something important. Blora does not ask you to race through its attractions. It invites you to experience them, to slow down, to notice details that modern life often encourages us to ignore. The sound of leaves dancing in the wind, the fragrance of damp earth after a gentle rain, the laughter of children riding bicycles along peaceful village roads, the smile of an elderly craftsman who has spent decades perfecting skills passed down from his parents and grandparents. These are not moments that appear on flashy advertisements, yet they are the moments travelers remember long after returning home. Because authentic memories are rarely manufactured, they are lived. As the morning continues, sunlight filters through the teak canopy, creating thousands of shifting patterns across the forest floor. Each beam of light reminds us that nature has been performing this same masterpiece every single day for centuries. Long before electricity illuminated cities, long before cameras captured landscapes, long before social media encouraged people to chase famous destinations. Nature was already creating beauty here, and it continues doing so without asking for applause. Perhaps there is a lesson in that. The most meaningful contributions often happen quietly. The strongest trees do not announce their growth. They simply continue reaching toward the sky year after year. The deepest rivers do not boast about their strength. They simply continue flowing. The wisest communities rarely seek recognition. They simply continue protecting what matters most. Blora embodies this quiet strength. Its forests continue growing. Its traditions continue thriving. Its history continues educating. Its people continue welcoming visitors with sincerity. There is a beautiful humility woven into everyday life here, and humility is becoming increasingly rare. Modern society often rewards visibility. We celebrate whatever becomes popular the fastest. But popularity and value are not the same thing. Some of the world's greatest treasures remain hidden because they have never needed to compete for attention. Blora reminds us that true significance exists whether people notice it or not. The teak forests remain magnificent even if no one photographs them. The fossils remain historically priceless even if few people know their names. The Barongan performances remain culturally powerful, whether they are watched by thousands or only a single child sitting beside the stage with wide eyes full of wonder. Value exists independently of recognition. That truth applies not only to places, it applies to people as well. How many remarkable individuals quietly improve the lives of others without ever becoming famous? Teachers who inspire generations, farmers who feed entire communities, artists who preserve traditions, scientists who dedicate decades to understanding the past, parents who sacrifice every day so their children can dream bigger than they ever could. Blora reminds us to appreciate these quiet heroes, because civilizations are built not only by celebrated leaders, they are built by ordinary people performing extraordinary acts of dedication every single day. This is why the story of Blora resonates far beyond geography. It becomes a story about humanity itself, about patience, about resilience, about identity, about remembering where we came from so we can better understand where we are going. Every generation inherits two responsibilities. The first is to improve the future. The second is to protect the past. Neither responsibility can succeed without the other. Progress without memory becomes empty. Tradition without growth becomes stagnant. Blora demonstrates that both can exist together. Ancient forests coexist with modern communities. Archaeological discoveries inspire contemporary scientific research. Traditional performances continue entertaining new generations. Cultural identity remains strong while embracing the opportunities of an increasingly connected world. That balance deserves admiration, because it is far more difficult than it appears. As the afternoon sun begins its slow journey across the sky, life in Blora continues with quiet determination. Farmers return from their fields. Children gather with friends after school. Small food stalls begin preparing evening meals. Smoke rises gently from charcoal grills, where satay will soon be cooked over glowing embers. Families come together after another productive day. Conversations fill homes with warmth. Laughter echoes through neighborhoods. Life here reminds us that happiness is often found in simple moments shared with the people we love. Perhaps that is the greatest luxury of all. Not endless possessions, not extravagant buildings, but meaningful connections. Blora has preserved those connections remarkably well.
It reminds us that communities become stronger when people know one another, when traditions are shared rather than forgotten, when history is celebrated instead of ignored, when nature is protected instead of exploited. These are timeless lessons every society can learn from. As evening approaches Another breathtaking sunset slowly unfolds above the forests. The sky transforms into brilliant shades of amber, crimson, and violet. The silhouettes of ancient teak trees stretch across the landscape like timeless guardians watching over the land they have protected for generations. Night gradually replaces daylight. The stars begin appearing one by one above central Java. Somewhere in the distance, traditional music may once again fill the evening air. Another Barongan performance begins. Another family gathers for dinner. Another child listens to stories told by grandparents who continue passing wisdom from one generation to the next. And the story of Blora continues, not as a chapter that has already ended, but as a living story still being written every single day. A story that belongs not only to historians or archaeologists, it belongs to every farmer caring for the land, every artist preserving culture, every teacher inspiring curiosity, every child dreaming about the future while standing proudly upon the foundation built by countless generations before them. That is the enduring spirit of Blora, a spirit rooted in history, strengthened by nature, enriched by culture, and carried forward by people whose greatest achievement may simply be their determination to never forget who they are. Perhaps that is why, after learning its story, Blora no longer feels like a hidden destination. It feels like a timeless reminder that the richest places on earth are not always measured by fame. They are measured by the depth of their heritage, the strength of their communities, and the enduring legacy they leave for generations yet to come. If you trace the story of humanity across the globe, you will discover that every civilization has been shaped by three powerful forces: the land beneath its feet, the people who call it home, and the stories they choose to remember. Blora possesses all three in remarkable abundance. Its fertile lowlands gave life to communities that learned to live in harmony with nature. Its vast teak forests became symbols of endurance, patience, and prosperity. Its rivers preserved evidence of ancient humans whose existence stretches back hundreds of thousands of years. Its people transformed ordinary experiences into enduring traditions that continue inspiring future generations. None of these elements exist in isolation. They are connected, just as the roots of a forest are connected beneath the soil. Remove one, and the entire ecosystem becomes weaker. Protect them together, and they create something capable of surviving the passage of time. Perhaps this is why Blora never feels like a place frozen in history. It feels alive. History breathes here. Culture moves here. Nature continues growing here. Every sunrise begins another chapter. Every generation adds another page, and every visitor becomes part of its unfolding story. There is a quiet confidence in places that have nothing to prove. Blora does not compete to become the tallest, the busiest, or the most photographed. Instead, it quietly excels at something far more meaningful: remaining authentic. Authenticity cannot be manufactured. It cannot be built overnight. It cannot be purchased with enormous budgets or clever marketing campaigns. It is earned through centuries of consistency, through communities choosing to remain faithful to their values even as the world around them changes. That authenticity is visible everywhere. It is reflected in the carefully maintained traditions of Barongan. It lives in the aroma of satay grilled over charcoal and served on fragrant teak leaves. It stands proudly within forests that continue stretching toward the sky. It rests silently inside prehistoric fossils that remind us of humanity's astonishing journey through time. It smiles through the warmth of local people who welcome visitors not as strangers, but as honoured guests. Every destination has a personality. Some are energetic, some are adventurous, some are luxurious. Blora is wise. It teaches without speaking loudly. It inspires without demanding attention. It leaves an impression not because it overwhelms your senses, but because it touches your perspective. After spending time here, many travellers begin asking different questions. Instead of searching only for famous places, they begin searching for meaningful ones. Instead of chasing crowded attractions, they begin appreciating peaceful landscapes. Instead of measuring success by popularity, they begin measuring it by authenticity.